How a storm prevented a scammer from taking more of my money. This is a story shared by a lady from Oklahoma. This all started when I was on FB. I was scrolling through my friend requests when I had several that I had missed. I had a request from a man calling himself Alan, and his profile pic was of a man at a baseball game, and he looked nice enough. I accepted his friend request. His profile didn't have a whole lot on it. The About section said he lived in Texas but was born in Belgium. He messaged me right away and said hello and asked where I'm from and if I'm married or single and what the weather condition is like where I live. I found this question to be odd, but then I figured him being from Belgium, maybe that's just something they ask. I texted him back telling him I'm from Reno, Oklahoma, and I'm single. I've been divorced for 13 years now and have no kids, and I'm in my 50s. Alan told me he was 54 and lives in Houston, Texas, but travels a lot for work as he's a widow and his wife had died from what he said was cystic deterioration of kidney stone cancer, which was something that I'd never heard of. He told me he was a supervisor for a major oil company and would travel offshore for oil projects. I joked with him and told him that he's probably been through my town as I live in Oklahoma and we have tons of oil fields. Alan said he thinks my town is rich with oil and asked me if I work in the oil fields. I laughed and told him certainly not. I work as a manager at a supermarket. I've been there for years, and while it's not the best job in the world, I enjoy the customers and I pretty much know everyone. Alan said he hasn't dated anyone since his wife died, and he has a 9-year-old daughter named Marcy. He told me his daughter stays with a special private academy school while he is out of the country on business, but she has the best school and education. I asked if it's like a boarding school, and he said yes, the best in Texas. Well, in the beginning, I kept our chats kind of light and friendly, asking how his day was, and he would message me here and there, but a lot of times he wanted to chat on WhatsApp, which is something I had on my phone, but I hardly used. I think my sister and I used it once when she traveled overseas, and it gave us a free calling ability through Wi Fi, but otherwise, I didn't use it until I met this Alan. He asked me to exchange numbers on WhatsApp, and I did. I thought it wouldn't do any harm, and most people have my phone number. I've had the same phone number for over 20 years, if you can believe it, so I saw no harm in one more person having it. We started to text and talk on WhatsApp. He would message me in the morning and at night. One evening at dinner, he called me, and we spoke on the phone, and he had an interesting accent. He told me he grew up in Belgium and then moved to the States after he met his wife while she was traveling through Belgium. And prior to that, he ran a multi-million dollar company out of Belgium dealing with oil and gas pipelines there. But he moved to the States after he married his wife, and then she died. He said he stayed in the States for his daughter's education, and he owned a home here in Texas, which is where he said his home has always been. I joked with him over the phone about the rivalry of Texas and Oklahoma and the football, but he didn't seem to understand it. I chalked it up to him being European, and maybe he didn't know much about our football rivalry. His accent, though, was interesting, very thick, and sounded a little French, but he told me it was a Belgium accent. When I asked him what language he speaks, he told me English. Well, I searched what language they speak in Belgium, and it's Flemish. I asked him if he speaks that, and he said no, he didn't know what it was. I found this odd, but he told me he was educated at the best private school in Belgium. He told me his parents have both since passed away, but his father was a doctor and his mother was a flight attendant, so they had wealth to send him to the best school before they both passed. He inherited the family home in Belgium and has it as a rental and makes it extra income. He asked if I've ever been to Belgium, and I told him no. I've only been to Mexico once with my family for a cruise. I don't travel far from home, and I really don't like to. I joked with him that the tornadoes here will move us if they want us to travel. He said he didn't understand. I admit, I get lonely, and I enjoyed our chats online and on voice chat. He would call every night while I cooked dinner and ate dinner, and it made things less lonely. Alan said he was off the coast of Panama at the moment on an oil pipeline production project, and he even sent me pictures of the project near the Panama Canal. He told me he would come home in 3 months' time and then offered to come to Oklahoma to meet me and take me out on some romantic dinners. I told him, when he gets here, let's meet up somewhere for dinner and I'll hold him to the promise. He asked me if we could be exclusive online and that when we meet, if we have that spark, we could become a real couple. I told Alan I don't really date to begin with, and he don't need to worry about me talking to other men, and he had been scared that a local man in my town might ask me out and steal me away from him, or maybe someone else online. I told him no. I work and come home. Those are my loves. And yes, I'm super friendly to everyone, but I don't flirt and I don't do the dating thing. The online thing went for quite a while. He would send me videos of the oil rig, videos of the Panama Canal, and all sorts of really cool videos of the ship he was working on and the oil pipelines. I really didn't tell anyone about our relationship because, as to me, it was like an online thing. When we meet in person, we could explore telling our friends and family, especially since he had a daughter. It's a delicate situation when children are involved, and I don't want to march into her life and cause any upset or trauma. She's already lost her mom. Alan agreed about keeping this quiet until we met in person and know that it'll work. Alan started asking me for little things, though. The first time, he said he was locked out of his social media and asked me if I could give him a 6-digit code he had sent to my phone. He said his phone wasn't working right to get the code and he'd been locked out of his account. And me, not knowing any better, gave him the 6-digit code when it got sent to my phone. He thanked me and told me he was having so many issues with his phone. I didn't realize at the time that that was a way he registered his account to my phone number. He said he used all the data on his phone and was unable to get another card as he's in the middle of the ocean and they wouldn't dock at port for 2 more weeks. He asked me if I'd ever heard of an Apple card, and I told him no. I don't do Apple anything. My phone is a basic Android I got from Walmart, and it doesn't do a bunch of bells and whistles. Alan texted me a picture of the card and he asked if I could get him a $100 Apple card. And he would pay me back when he reached port and just wire me the $100 through PayPal, Zelle, whatever I wanted. Well, I was hesitant at first, but then went and got the card. I figured it was partly my fault because we talk so much. We often talk late into the night, be it texting or voice calls. Alan sent me a video of the ocean again, with his voice over the video thanking me for the card, so I truly thought he was legit. There were little instances, though, and he would ask a couple more times for these cards. I would oblige, and by the end of all this, came out to about $600 I spent on these Apple cards. But he was sweet and caring, attentive, kind. He always wanted to talk to me and remembered little things that I had told him. Like my sister had back surgery, and he asked how her surgery went on the date of surgery. He even asked me if she was single, as he had a friend working on the rig. Well, she was not single, but he seemed to involve himself with knowing my family and remembering that she had surgery and asking how they are. Alan and I had made plans to meet. He would be flying into Houston at the end of his contract, which was coming up in 2 short weeks. I told him I would be willing to drive halfway to meet, and maybe we could meet in Dallas and have dinner. I could take a couple days off work and stay in my own hotel room, and we could have a couple of dinner dates, meet, sightsee around Dallas, maybe visit a couple of country clubs. I love to dance, and Alan said he did too. He would often send me my golden country songs and tell me that he would love to dance with me to this song. And as I said, he was very caring. He listened to what I like and would always send me my favorite songs and video. As time got closer, though, a few things took place which broke this whole relationship apart. Alan and I were all set for our meeting. I had booked myself a hotel room in Dallas for 4 days, and I was to drive into Dallas. He was going to fly in, and we would meet in a neutral place, because I'm careful, even if I'm in an online relationship. Alan called me one night in a panic. He said someone had gotten into his bank account and changed the password and took all his money. He said he thinks it's his late wife's brother who never liked him. He said he would have to go to his bank in Texas when he arrived from Panama and sign off on an investigation into the fraud, plus show his ID so he can open up a new account. He was waiting for his final paycheck to be entered into his account, but since the account is closed, now work is holding his e-payment until the account is set up and running again. So Alan was stuck in Panama until he can get the $1,000 to fly home. He was confused and didn't know what to do and asked me if I would be able to pay the $1,000 via a loadable Visa prepaid card so he can charge his flight to Dallas. And as soon as he gets to a bank branch and fixes his account, he can get his last check from work, which was $25,000. It would be e-delivered, and he could go ahead and pay me back. This was a situation I felt uneasy in, but at the time, we would meet soon, so I would get my money back right away. I could even drive him to the bank branch, so I told him I would do it. But I'd have to go to my bank. For that amount of money, I would need to shuffle it out of my savings into my checking, and I'd rather do that in person than online, and then pull out the money. I'm old fashioned that way, so I'd go to the bank, and then I'd go purchase the prepaid gift card at the store. I told Alan I would go on Monday, as it was Saturday when he asked, and he said he loved me and felt so happy. We could finally meet. I told Alan, okay, I'll go to the bank Monday, then I'll go to the store and buy a prepaid vanilla Visa card. Saturday night, though, into Sunday morning, we had some really bad storms here. There was a tornado watch in effect, and the weather was wild. I messaged Alan that the storms were bad and we had an incoming front, and I was about ready to hide in my storm shelter if the sirens go off. And he asked me if I was still sending the money in the gift card form. I found this left a bitter taste in my mouth because he didn't even ask if I was okay. And I told him yes on Monday, but this was now Sunday evening and the banks are closed. I can't pull the money out. Alan told me okay, and to send a photo of the back of the card once I buy it, and once it's done, and he would be excited to meet me. I told Alan I needed to charge my phone right now because the weather's getting bad, and if we lose power, and I do have a small generator, but it's best to have a full phone battery. Alan said okay, and we could talk soon. Just make sure I get that prepaid gift card. He even asked me where the bank is and when it opens, so I can transfer the money from my savings to my checking, and then I can go buy the card. He even asked me to just use my credit card instead and go get it right now, and I told him no. I don't run up my credit cards with huge charges. I told him 8 a.m. is when the bank opens, and I will go in, transfer the money, and then I'll go to the store and get the card for him. We hung up that night, and yes, I lost power. We had localized flooding from the rain, but the worst came around midnight when a strong storm cell line went over my area. We had tornado sirens, and the wind was so bad it tore part of my storage shed apart, my carport, and did damage to the siding of my house. A tree uprooted in my yard and blocked out my driveway. Luckily, it didn't hit my vehicle. Honestly, being from Oklahoma, this is normal, but this storm scared even me. We had some tornado activity in the area, and the updrafts are what caused all the damage, and I was without power. I had a damaged home and a large tree blocking my only exit, so essentially I was stuck. My phone had no signal, and I suspect that the towers were down. No internet, no power. Sunday came and went, as did Monday, and finally Tuesday morning I had power back and the internet. I had no way to get out, and I had to call my neighbor's son, who has a tree service, to come cut the tree up so I can get out. But my neighbor's son was so busy with storm damage and people needing more help than me that I told him to come when he can, and really, I have all I need in the house in terms of food and water, and My power was back on, as was my internet, so I was able to connect my phone to Wi Fi calling as I think the cell towers were still down. It was updating, and I was trying to wait to get connections. It was my understanding the main tower in our area was torn apart from the storm. When I finally got on Wi Fi, I got a flood of calls and messages from Alan asking where I am. Had I forsaken him? Was he a joke to me? I finally was able to get a call through and told him what happened. I said a large tree fell in my driveway, nearly crushing my vehicle. The storm was so bad and I was so scared. I lost power, internet, even my generator was puttering. It was a nightmare, and a storm killed several people, and a tornado had touched down in a town near me. I was shaky and almost in tears because this was so upsetting to me, and it was so good to hear Alan's voice. He calmed me until he started yelling at me, telling me that I should have sent the money already to my checking so that I can buy the card. Was I a joke to him? Go get in your car and buy my card. Use your credit card. Just go get the card. Forget the bank, he yelled. He didn't ask how I was, if I was hurt, if my truck was damaged, or any debris fell on me. He started yelling at me for not getting his card in time. I told him there's a huge tree blocking my driveway. He told me to get a blade and cut the tree up. Stop being lazy and selfish and go cut the tree and drive to the bank, get the money, and go get the card. I told him the town is flooded right now and the bank is likely not even open. Alan then sent me a Google screenshot of all the banks in my town and the hours. I told him yes, but there's been a storm and downtown is where my bank is and it's likely flooded and closed. A lot of businesses are closed right now according to the news reports. Alan called me a liar, a selfish and evil woman. He told me to walk to the bank if my car is not working, and I can't afford to fix my car because I'm too poor. I told him there is a literal tree blocking my driveway. He told me that's an excuse and I should walk instead, and I told him for one, the bank is a good 2 hours walk. I don't live in town, and we just had a storm. There's power lines down, flooded roads, and more. We're being advised not to leave the house unless it's a dire emergency. Alan said, this is an emergency, and I'm neglecting his needs. Well, this just shocked me and made me sick and angry. He spoke to me like I was a horrible person, and he started yelling more to just go send the money online, transfer it now with your checking, go get a card, go do something, go to the store, $1,000 now. I gave you enough time. Get a reloadable card and give me the number, he demanded. I told Alan I cannot. The bank is likely not open and the stores are shut from a storm. Alan again called me a liar and told me that I was too lazy and poor to send him the gift card, and if I cared, I would just charge it to my credit card or buy it online. I told him absolutely not. I will not be spoken to in that manner, and he told me I was a liar and a scammer for not going to get the prepaid card, that he will be stuck in Panama, and that his daughter will never see her father again. Do what I like. I've done to him, and I yelled at him. I told him to have his company pay for his way home, and I will not be with some man who is verbally yelling at me like this and who is being so rude and mean. Alan told me he knew I was no good, and if I loved him, I would just crawl to the store for him and get the card. Well, needless to say, I told him where to go. I ended up blocking him from social media and WhatsApp. He came back with a new number and started to make threats to me, saying he will call the police because I'm a scammer. Huh, how about that? Calling me a scammer when he lied and asked me for money. I ended up blocking him again, and my social media was flooded with friend requests from profiles using his picture and name and some other names. I also get friend requests from young men from Lagos, which he sent me a message, one of them, calling me names and making threats. I blocked him too, and in the end, I did lose about $600 worth of Apple gift cards, but I guess thanks to this storm, it saved me from a lot more. I'm over it now and talk to others about it. Before I was ashamed, but I hope to share my story and help those in situations like I was in. Don't let somebody talk to you like that. Thank you so much. Greetings from stormy Oklahoma. I like to thank this lady for sharing her story. Unfortunately, this happens often. Scammers get really angry and mean when they don't get their way. And it goes to show you they don't care about you. They only care about that money and that gift card. If you'd like to share your story, whether you lost money or not, scammingscammers@gmail.com. Just write me an email, upload any screenshots you have, and I'm happy to narrate your story into a video. Until next time, take care, stay safe.